Well, there it is. Algeria's journey at the AFCON ends in the quarterfinal at the hands of Nigeria, and I had to get this video out instantly. An instant reaction. The game literally finished 15 minutes ago, and here I am because I know the Algerians are desperate to know what I'm thinking after that game. It's no secret that I backed this Algerian team. I predicted them to win this tournament, but here it is. They lose to Nigeria, who continue their impressive run of form and will now play the hosts Morocco in the semi-finals. But let's talk about it. Let's talk about the game. What went wrong for Algeria? What went right for Nigeria? You know, I said it was going to be a close game, but it ended up not really being that. And Nigeria with a much better team, and they deserve to win this game. They absolutely deserve to win this game. They missed a few chances. They eventually got their goal through Victor Osimhen, and then a Court Adams scored the second. They were by far the better team. Their attack really proved its quality, and I think it's the first time the Algerian defence has really been tested. Right, they haven't played against the best attack so far. They've played against good teams like Burkina Faso, DR Congo. You know, DR Congo, we know, are a quality side. They managed to beat them, but DR Congo are not the best going forward. They're a more defensive team. You know, that's what they pride themselves on being. So it was really the first tough test, and this is the best attack at this AFCON. And I think it proved to be too much for Algeria. I thought Lucas Zidane had a few mistakes. I mean, he got lucky with the Ben Sebaini clearance off the line because he was in no man's land there. And then the first goal, I think he definitely could have done better, but I also think Ben Sebaini, someone has to close down Osimhen. It's a free header. They scored, and the second goal is just brilliantly worked from Nigeria. And, you know, I think we can talk about what went wrong for Algeria, and I think it was quite a lot of things. But I think overall the main message is that they just lost to a really good side. And you know, that was a possibility. We all knew it could happen. We know how impressive this Nigerian team have been at this tournament, and they really do look like a team that can go on and win it. But now they will play against Morocco. We'll talk about that towards the end of the video. But let's just talk about this game. When I saw the lineup, I was a little bit disappointed. I think that, you know, Riyad Mahrez, I just think it's done. I honestly think it's done. I think Hadj Moussa, when he came on, offered so much more. And I think that you can have Mahrez around, but I'm sorry, I think at this tournament it's proven that he scored a few goals, but he just hasn't done enough for me. He hasn't done enough, and Hadj Moussa brings more creativity. He's better in the 1v1 dribble. Like, Mahrez just doesn't have that spring in his step anymore, and it's normal, you know. He's getting on. It's, you know, he's a legend for this national team. But I honestly think it's time for Hadj Moussa to take that starting spot. And I think Petkovic, hopefully he's learned that ahead of the World Cup. You know, obviously the aim for Algeria, I don't really think was to go and win this AFCON, right? They've been grouped to the last two AFCONs. I still think this is a relatively successful AFCON because, you know, you won the group, you knocked out a very good side in DR Congo, and then you just lost to the best team at the tournament so far. Like, I think it's fair. I think it's, you know, they had to get out of the group because they haven't done that in the last two AFCONs. They did that, and now the preparation is for the World Cup, where they haven't been since 2014. And I think, you know, I'm not selling my stocks. I'm still backing my Algerian brothers. I rate this team still very, very highly, and I think they've got so much potential at the World Cup still. And I think that Petkovic, you know, it's his first tournament with this Algerian side. I think he's learned a lot about his team, and I think that Ismail Bennacer was a huge miss today. He was a huge miss. I don't think Zerouki had a great game at all. I don't think Boudaoui had a great game next to Zerouki. Mazza didn't have his greatest game either. Going forward, the Algerian attack didn't really do anything, right? I think that, you know, missing players like Guiri, right? Missing Houssam Aouar, missing Ismail Bennacer. I think he's learned a lot. I think Amora as a 9 with this system is not going to work, right? Just playing like the long balls, right? I think Algeria looked much better when Baghdad Bounedjah came on. So do you start Bounedjah or do you change the system to play Amora up front? How does the team look like when you get all your injured players back fit? That's something that Petkovic is going to have to think about going into the World Cup. But I think he's got a lot. I think he's got a lot to think about. But I think it's going to make this team even hungrier going into the World Cup. And that first game against Argentina is going to be crazy. It's going to be very telling to see how this Algerian team is going to look. But I mean, overall, where do I start? I think that Nigeria from the start were dominant. Right? They were dominant. They created chances. They could have scored a few in the first half. They didn't. And then in the second half, they scored the 2 goals. Yes, after that, Algeria started to get into the game. But they didn't really create much, and honestly, I can't say that it was close. But I do have to talk about the referee, because for me, he had an absolute howler today. I think Algeria had claims for 2 penalties. Right, the first one, the handball. I think it was in the first 15 minutes. I'm sorry, I've seen that given so many times. I've seen, like, you could say it's harsh, right? He's not that far from him. But I'm sorry, I've seen that given so many times. So this is the problem with just set the rule. Consistency. The only consistency is inconsistency. He blocks the cross. His hand is away from his body. He's inside the box. Usually you see that given as a penalty. This time it wasn't given, right? Okay, fine. I can say I can concede it's harsh. It's close. He can't really do anything with his hand. But then I guarantee you, we'll see a game tomorrow where that exact same thing happens and the penalty is given. Like, it just will happen. So for me, that's the problem with all of this, is you just never know when it's going to go your way and when it's not. So that I think that was a problem today. I think that was absolutely a problem. And then the penalty at the end, I'm sorry, Calvin Bassey's protecting the ball. He puts his hand in Baghdad Bounedjah's face. If that happens anywhere else on the pitch, it's a foul. It is. Here it wasn't given, right? I'm not saying these were stonewall penalties, but Algeria most certainly had a claim for at least one of them. And overall, just small decisions everywhere. I'm sorry, there was some Algeria, the amount of yellow cards they got, that I just don't think were yellow cards, compared to Nigeria doing the same thing and never getting booked, not even giving the foul. I think the referee had a bit of a stinker today. I think it was really, really bad. I was fuming watching it. But overall, I can't blame it's bad refereeing, but I can't say it's a robbery because Nigeria were by far the better team. And they by far deserved to win this game. They did. So I can't even be upset at that, right? They were dominant defensively. People had questions. I had questions about their defense. That's why I thought Algeria was going to go through. Their defense looked solid. Their defense didn't really have too much trouble. Nouabali didn't even have to make a save. And then their attack, we knew was going to be a problem for this Algerian defense. We all knew that, but I thought the same the other way. I thought the Algerian attack would be a lot for the Nigerian defense, and it just wasn't that. It wasn't that. It was a poor game. I think that Petkovic, the substitutions came and they changed the game, but they were too late. Once you're 2-0 down, those if the score was 0-0 when he makes those subs, who knows what happens, right? Who knows what happens? The game could have gone to extra time. Who knows? But once you make those subs at 2-0, it's just it's too late. It's done. And I think Petkovic is going to learn from this. I think he's going to learn from this. It's his first tournament. His first tournament with Switzerland, they got knocked out in the round of 16 on penalties. Then he comes back stronger. World Cup 2018, it was much better from Switzerland. He's going to keep learning. He's going to be improving. So I'm expecting him to do better at the World Cup with this Algerian team, because I feel like this will keep them under the radar. They lose to in the quarterfinals. People won't be talking about them, right? Except the Algerian fans, who probably will be hyping themselves up, and rightly so, because they're a good team. People won't be talking about them, and that could help them at the World Cup. They could sneak under the radar, and I think that's the ultimate aim, right? They won the AFCON not long ago. Obviously, it would have been fantastic to win it again, but I think the aim is the World Cup for Algeria. I think that is the aim, to do something to mainly get out the group, right? I think get out the group's the aim, and then see where it takes you. See who you play. I know the pathway isn't kind. Algeria's most likely opponent in the round of 32 is Spain, right? It's not kind, but you can only play who's in front of you. So if it is Spain, it's Spain. But I think that's what Algeria need to just put this game behind themselves. Look at the mistakes that were made and try and improve for the World Cup, right? It was poor, but there's no time to dwell on it. The World Cup's in 6 months. And Petkovic is going to figure it. I believe that he can figure this out. I believe he can. It's a bit of experience for the team, and they'll come back stronger. As for Nigeria, let's talk about them, because they've been so impressive at this tournament. I got to give big credit to this Nigerian team. Alex Iwobi in midfield has been one of the players of the tournament. If Nigeria win it, I would say give it to him. Lookman and Osimhen have been fantastic. Court Adams getting on the score sheet today. That defensively they were really solid today. I think Calvin Bassey was a beast. I just think that they have been as good as any team, and probably the most impressive team at this tournament. Let's see how Cote d'Ivoire do today, because I think they've been one of the other impressive teams at this tournament, and let's see how they deal with Egypt tonight. That game is in 30 minutes. But for me, they now have the toughest test, playing Morocco at home, and again, the refs will be on Morocco's side, right? This time, I feel like the ref was definitely on their side for a bit. They're not going to have that against Morocco, right? And I think we all need to know that. And Morocco, this is the game for them. If they lose, I think it's a disaster, right? Even though this Nigerian team are fantastic, because of how much pressure, because of how strong this team is, because they're at home, because they're World Cup semi-finalists, it would be a really bad tournament for Morocco if they lose. But also, going into this game, I'm not sure Morocco even is the favourite. They are. I'm sure the betting odds have them as the favourites. But at this tournament, Nigeria have been so much better than Morocco. They absolutely have been. And, you know, that attack could exploit that Moroccan defence, even though it's a strong defence. So let's see what happens. That game's going to be fantastic. I cannot wait for it. Let's see what the other semi-final is going to be, who are Senegal going to play. My bet is on Ivory Coast probably, even though I want it to be Egypt. I like the Ivorian team, for sure, but I want it for Mo Salah, but I don't think it will happen, to be honest. These are famous last words. I could get 2 predictions wrong in the space of 30 minutes. The game's in 30 minutes. But it was a sad game for me. I wanted Algeria to do well, but love goes out to my Algerian people. I hope you bounce back. I hope the World Cup's much better. I think it was a fairly strong AFCON still, right? It's, you know, you made it out of the group after not making it for 2 consecutive editions. Today was poor, but you just got to put that behind you and focus on the World Cup. I'll catch you guys on the next one.